Hello everybody, welcome back to the Top Tier Tactics Tournament. And this is round 2, still playing Chant of the Maldaya. And now we're up against Mind Maze, and that's gonna be a pretty tough matchup. Because Mind Maze basically has all the advantages in this matchup. It has everything it needs to beat this deck. And I don't really have a lot to deal with his threats. So first off, it's just a very aggressive deck, Mind Maze that is, and it can actually defeat me before I get to actually play one of my big spells, which I'm trying to ramp up to. The second problem is that if I do get some big blockers on my side, it doesn't necessarily mean that I get to block his guys, because his guys, most of them have unblockable or are flying. And this deck doesn't really know how to deal with that, aside from just wiping the entire board. Well, and there comes problem number 3, is that he has a lot of counterspells. So even if I do get to wipe the board, or get a big bomb on the board, he may counterspell it. So, while he pummels in my face. So that's a big problem. And then, lastly, if I get by his counterspells, and I'm sitting tightly with some big creatures on my side of the board, he could still just lay a bunch of phantasmal images and proceed to laugh while he, screws me over with those. So, pretty difficult matchup. In fact, it's just really difficult. It's like I would say before sideboarding, it's like a 90 to 10 matchup. If you just run the normal version of this build. Not specifically, made so it can actually beat Mind Maze, then it's like a 90 to 10 matchup. After sideboarding, including his sideboarding and my sideboarding, I think it becomes a little better for me, because I can actually add some cards that help me against him. Whereas most of the cards that he would want to add to help against me are probably already in his deck anyways. So, stuff like the Grazing Glade Arts, I think are important in the matchup, because gaining some life early is pretty important when, I may not even get to 6 mana to survive his attack otherwise. Skewed Mob, pretty good card. I think I want to include this either way, even outside of the matchup, but I didn't have it in the deck in the previous match, but it should be in there. Definitely early on, if you need it to chump block, you can, of course. But you can also just drop it early and then see if you need to chump block. And if you don't, then it becomes a big threat later on. And that's pretty nice, because you don't really need to take a turn to play this, because you're probably playing it on a turn that you didn't have anything else to do with the 1 mana anyways. So that's pretty nice for that reason. Tangle is of course still important, because he is playing an aggressive deck. But it's not as foolproof as it is against any other deck, because he can just counterspell it. So I may want to play this early just to be able to make sure that I don't just die when he counterspells my Tangle. And if he does counterspell it, if I play this early without lethal being on the board, and maybe later on I can play All Is Dust or something to gain me life. Green Sun Zenith, pretty cool card still, of course. It's a really powerful card as well, but I'm only running one of them right now, for this matchup that is. And the reason is that the most important card in the matchup, I feel, is going to be Summoning Trap. Because Summoning Trap actually helps against counterspells. If he counterspells one of my creatures, then I get to Summoning Trap. However, it only works if he actually counterspells a creature. If I play Green Sun Zenith to get a creature, he counterspells that, then Summoning Trap doesn't cost 0 mana. So that's why I'm only running one Green Sun Zenith. I'd rather actually play the creature than have to tutor for it, but it's still a powerful card, Green Sun Zenith that is, so I still want one in the deck. Another powerful card in the matchup is Elvish Piper. Now, I thought about running 2 of them, but while this card definitely has upside against his deck, namely that it gets by his counterspells, if this guy's out, then I can just, use his ability to drop a creature on the board, rather than having to cast it, which means that he doesn't get the chance to counterspell my creature. On the other hand, it does waste time to play this, and then if he has an unsummon, I'm just further behind, and there are 4 unsummons in the deck. There are 3, Frost Breaths in the deck, which also work against this pretty well. So, if he runs all of those, then I don't know. I mean, Elvish Piper does have a big downside there, and there's also still the natural downside of Elvish Piper, which is, if you draw Elvish Piper, that's one less big creature that you draw instead of Elvish Piper. So that disadvantage can start to add up, which is why I definitely don't want to be running 2 Elvish Pipers, because combined with the fact that if he unsummons it, I'm just further behind, and the fact that if I draw both, I'm even, I probably don't also draw a bomb, or that just means I draw 2 less bombs, which seems pretty bad to me. So only 1 Elvish Piper, although I do consider it a powerful card in the matchup, but it has the chance to fail. It has a big chance of failing. It also has a pretty equal chance of actually succeeding where other cards might fail. So interesting, and I decided on 1. Oracle of Modiah. I figure in this matchup, even if I do get by all the stuff, he still has the Phantasmal Images. He can easily top deck something amazing. And Oracle of Modiah actually, gives me less draw steps I need to work through to seal the deal, basically. If I do get a late game advantage. In early game, I hope this card is just gonna get me the ramp spells. It's just gonna get me the lands, so I can play those and still use this as a ramp spell. But late game I may need some extra card advantage, which this card can give me. But only 1 of them. Again, it's not that big of a deal. And I really do prefer, especially early game, to just ramp up to my big creatures and drop those, because that's more of a surefire way that you're gonna get your big creature down. I mean, if land is like 3 cards down on your deck when you play Oracle of Modiah, it's not really doing much. So, Avenger of Zendikar is dangerous against me because he can copy it a few times, and use it against me with the Phantasmal Images. But on the other hand, I'm gonna have more lands down, so I'm gonna get more plant tokens, and I'm also gonna, be able to ramp up faster than he is, drop more lands per turn, potentially, which makes my plant tokens grow bigger faster. So even if he clones it, or I guess Phantasmal Images it, it's still not that big of a deal, and I figure it's more of an advantage to me. And it's basically this card is just the big threat, the card you want with this deck. I can't really see me taking it out just out of fear that he might copy it. Then there's the Pelakka Worms, important because they gain me life, which I'm probably gonna really need. And at the same time, they give me a big attacker to start swinging some damage his way instead of just taking damage the whole time. And obviously the mass board wipe is important. Don't really see any need to explain that one. Terastodon, it gives me 18 power and toughness for 8 mana. Seems like a great deal. But only running 1 because it is pretty expensive, and there's not that big of a chance that I'm gonna actually get that much mana. Before the game is decided either way. That doesn't mean that the game is over by the time I get to this mana, but it usually does mean that the game is decided. By that I mean that I either have a better board position, or I'm just dead next turn. So he may come too late, which is why I'm only running 1. Artisan of Kozilek, also an expensive card. I do hope to have Eye of Ugin out by the time I play this, but I may not even have time to play Primeval Titan. Who knows? This is a really scary matchup, guys. So, but the thing is, it says when you cast Artisan of Kozilek. That means that even if he counterspells this guy, I still get to grab something out of my graveyard. And that is pretty big upside against Mind Maze. So I do feel like I kind of have to run those for that reason alone. So let's look at what I'm not running. Most of this stuff is just pretty self-explanatory. I'm not running it. So let's just skip all of that. Dramatic Entrance is a card I did think about just to be a little faster in the matchup, but I mean, it is card disadvantage, and I don't know, it's 5 mana, whereas it only requires 1 more mana before I can just naturally play a Primeval Titan or something like that. This Primeval Titan here can be safely ignored. The reason it's in here instead of down there is because it's the latest promo card and wasn't out yet by the time I actually played this matchup, so pretend it isn't there. Vigor isn't in my deck because it's, I think, the only card in my deck that's actually better for him than it is for me. And what I mean by that is if he just plays a Phantasmal Image and gets a Vigor of his own, then my guys are bigger, so I'm going to deal more damage to his guys. His guys are going to grow bigger than my guys. So that basically just shuts down the advantage I have by having bigger guys. Because my guys and his guys are going to be the same size. After I swing in with a Vigor on his side. And one on my side, presumably. He can also just copy it and then unsummon mine and get bigger guys while I don't get bigger guys. I don't know, it seems pretty bad, and it doesn't have an ability that immediately happens when it comes into play. So if he unsummons it, I didn't really get anything out of it. And it's 1 mana to get rid of my 6 mana. That would just be a really big tempo play for him. Tooth and Nail isn't in there because it doesn't work with Summoning Trap, and it's a little too expensive in my opinion. I consider it more expensive than Artisan of Kozilek because I want to play this for 9 mana, obviously, and I want to play Artisan of Kozilek for 7 mana. Well, I guess technically 8 mana, because you have to play the Eye of Ugin instead of getting another land down on the board or getting it with Primeval Titans. So basically, if you didn't have the Eye of Ugin, you would have 8 land instead of the 7. So basically, for that reason, you can sort of consider Artisan an 8 drop instead of a 7 drop or 9 drop. But that is more, that means that Tooth and Nail would be the most expensive card in the deck if I included it. And I really don't think I'm going to get the time to play that. Eldrazi Conscription just doesn't seem good to me because he has Unsummons, he has Frost Breaths. That would just be such a tempo swing if he just unsummons the guy I put this on. Seems really bad to me. Although, the sudden aggression on my side if you stepped out would seem pretty good. But I can't rely on that happening. And I think it's just too big of a risk to include these and get them unsummoned. Then Interpretray is just too expensive for the matchup. So that's basically the deck. Let's see how it performed, and let's see if I can actually put up a fight against Mind Maze, the toughest matchup. Well, one of the toughest matchups in the game. Go, go, go! Transition! Alright, and here is game number 1. We're in it, and we got a hand with 2 lands, 2 Farhaven Elves, a Tangle, a Grazing Gladeheart, and a Placaworm, which I'm gonna keep, I'd imagine, because I only need 1 land, and then just after, then I can play all my stuff, hopefully. Although, let's see, so I get 1 land between now and 2 turns later, so I can play my Farhaven Elf on time, and then I can play my other Farhaven Elf. Then I'm at 5 lands. Then I need to get 2 more lands before I can play the Placaworm. But I can also get like a 6 drop instead. Yeah, this is a pretty good hand. I'd rather, of course, see 3 lands, like a 3rd land instead of the Grazing Gladeheart, I guess. But it's a decent hand. Definitely worth keeping. Can't have everything, I guess. My opponent is Rainbow Sunshine. He played an island first turn, and there's another island. Gee, wonder what deck he's playing. Obviously, it is Mind Maze. Wow, jeez, shut up, Seagull. Man, seagulls are so annoying. I don't really live too close to the sea, but for some reason they've been here the past few weeks, ever since the massive heat wave we've been suffering from here in Europe. And now there's a plane making noise in the background. I'm not sure you can hear it, but it is annoying to me. But either way, the seagull's just such an annoying animal. They don't normally live here, but they came here and they probably have a nest here because they're trying to scare us off. They basically just come into your neighborhood and try to scare you off. That's what they do. Stupid seagulls. How he locks into Temporal Mastery here, of course. Miracle. It's weird to me that they have only 1 Miracle card in the game. That means they went through all the trouble of coding Miracle so it actually works. but then they only have one card and it's in the promo unlock, so not everybody gets to play it, because not everybody knows about promo unlock. It's weird to me, but either way, I guess that probably means there's going to be more of them in the expansion. That's what I guess it means. Either way, I was talking about the seagulls. Good coffee. Seagulls, man, annoying animals. Yeah, basically what they do if you get too close to the nest, which is right on top of one of these houses here, so basically if I step outside of the door, I'm too close to the nest. And what they do is they make these annoying sounds. First of all, they go caw, caw, trying to tell you go away. That's what it comes down to. And then if you don't go away immediately, then they like to attack you from behind. No, not in that way. You filthy. They like to actually swoop in from above at the back of your head, and then just before they collide with your head, they pull up, and then they go caw, and you're like, what the? Scare the crap out of you. And then if that doesn't scare you off, then they actually start attacking. So annoying animals, man. But the reason that they're so they feel so safe doing that to humans is because they've been living among humans for quite a while now, and they like to scavenge from trash cans and everything, and feeding animals is never good because they don't fear you as much, and that means they get bald like that. They're bald-headed seagulls instead of eagles. That was better than I even thought it was going to be. Nice joke there, Nemo. Thanks, Nemo. What? Anyways, I was debating here between dropping the Glazing Gladeheart or the other dude, and I went with the other dude because it ramps me, and now I've got 6 lands. I only need to draw 1 more land, and I can actually drop the Blackaworm here. Regardless of which I chose, I do have the Tangle open. So, against his deck, I'm definitely happy having 2 hit Tangles, because even if he counterspells 1, I still have 1, So that makes me feel a little more confident about this situation here. And basically, I do need to just stabilize against his deck and start pushing back, because if I just sit back and do nothing, the longer that I sit back and do nothing, the more chance he has of drawing his great spells like Phantasmal Images and stuff like that. So unfortunately I didn't draw a land, so that's one more turn of doing nothing, which again I don't like. So we're passing the turn here. Got some. There's no point attacking with my 1/1s into his 2/2 there. And I have some blockers for his Lord of the Unreal, so it means he can only attack for free this turn. And he's playing an Aether Figment, so he has something to do with all his lands he's been drawing. Because, I don't know, 6 lands when you're playing Mind Maze is a little much. So he has been drawing a few too many lands, I think, for his liking. But all he can bring really here is the 3/3. That means next turn is when the 3/3, the 4/4, and the 3/2, and probably the 3/3 bear as well are attacking me. So that would mean taking 10 damage here, going up 7 life if I drew the land to play the Blackaworm. I didn't. But either way, if I did, I could have dropped the Blackaworm without the need to keep Tangle open that turn, is what I was trying to say. But I didn't draw the land here again. I did draw All's Dust, which is of course great when he's dropping all his dudes on the board, but he has counterspells in his deck there. As you can see my cursor pointing at his 1 card in hand. Who knows what that is? Well, I have to see. Hoping it's a land. Is he not bringing... He's not bringing the bear. Okay, there it is. He's bringing the bear. And he's bringing the Lord of the Unreal. Or not? This... What? Alright, he is bringing everybody. Tangle and not take any damage. That's my play. And all his dudes are tapped for at least another turn. So I got 2 turns to draw that land. and hope he doesn't draw the counterspell. Didn't draw the land. Another 7-drop in my hand when I have 6 lands. You see me go nuts with the cursor there. I'm like, oh, come on, where's my land? Where is my land? I didn't draw it, unfortunately, and that just gives him another turn to draw counterspell. Which is just maddening, you know, just knowing that you can easily turn the game around if you just get a land, but the longer it takes to draw the land, the more chance there is of being a counterspell. It's really maddening in a tournament like this when that happens. But I can't say I'm not running enough lands. I'm running 25 lands and quite a few ramp spells. There's my land. If he counterspells my Alles Dust, then I'm dead anyway, so I may as well attack first. Before killing off my dudes as well as his dudes. And Alles Dust. There we go. Clearing the board and pause. Pause. Oh no. And it's just an unsummon. That scared me so much, man. And he's targeting his illusion dude. There's misplay number 1, I suppose. Killing off his own illusion there. Wasting an unsummon. And he misclicked it, that obviously makes a lot more sense than him actually not realizing that he would kill his illusion if he targeted it, because I wouldn't imagine someone would play that deck in a tournament without having played it a little bit before and knowing, that you can target one of your illusions or it dies. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense if that was the case. So yeah, the misclick definitely makes more sense than anything else there. And that's something that wouldn't happen in real life Magic, but it did happen here. And it helps me out a little bit, I suppose. He didn't have the counterspell last turn, so I'm gonna assume he doesn't here. And just drop the Avenger of Zendikar, which can easily swing the game by. The faster since he didn't have the counterspell last turn, if I wait to drop it, he's just gonna get time to draw the counterspell, so, doesn't make much sense to wait too long on dropping it there. And we pass to his turn, see what he has. I mean, worst case scenario, he has like a Phantasmal Image and an Unsummon for my dude. I don't know, Unsummon, that wouldn't work. He has Unsummon and Phantasmal Image, he already had those in hand, and he drew a counterspell this turn. That would be the worst case scenario for me. But, that's a lot of ifs there. That's a lot of ifs. Instead, I'm taking him down to 4 life. Dropping another threat here, and again, no counterspell from him. Gaining 7 life, going back up to 17 myself. And there's a pause, which is weird. But I think it meant he had an unsummon, and he was just like, should I use it now? There's no real reason to use it that early, because he's got 6 lands out, and I can't imagine he's running 6 drops anyways in his deck, so he may as well just keep the unsummon ready. But unless he has like 2 other creatures he wants, other things he wants to play, but that doesn't make sense either, because then he would have played one of them last turn. So yeah, here I was just thinking that he paused it for the counterspell too late. I don't know. But then I realized he probably wanted to like unsummon. Or no, okay, I was thinking he wanted to counterspell because he paused after my dude hit the table, but he probably wanted to counterspell instead. Yeah, that makes more sense. That's exactly what I'm typing there. That makes more sense, right? All right. Good job, Past Nemo. We're thinking the same thing there. Yeah, so I'm just gonna talk about a little bit about I'm just chatting to see if he wants to host the game to get by the lag, and then if I get lagged, then we let me host the next game, etc. Something like that. I don't know. But either way, regardless of whether he had that counterspell or not, he's just dead here. Just the Avenger of Zendikar alone is enough to kill him. So that shall be game number one actually going in my favor, and that means it's 1-0 for me, which is pretty nice. I was pretty skeptical about this matchup, so going 1-0 after the first match is a nice confidence booster there. There's an Avenize, so let's remember he has that in deck, I guess. Not enough to save him, but it does tell me he has Avenize in the deck. So let's move on to the next match. And here we are, game number 2. And another decent hand, not amazing, but 4 lands, an Explore, and a dude that gets me a big dude. So it's just a hand that I have to keep. I know it's worse against Mind Maze than against any other deck, because you can actually counterspell my dude that gets me a big dude, and then I could just have nothing. But that counts for a lot of hands I could take with this deck that are worse against Mind Maze than against any other deck. So that's not really a reason not to keep it, and it's just a decent hand. I would have loved to have gotten a Ram spell instead of a 5th land there, though. That would have been a better draw. Although I can't say that I'm unhappy to actually get my land, but still. You have to be pretty fast in this matchup, I think. So, but we'll have to see what happens here. He's thinking about something. I'm not entirely sure what it is. I have to imagine he starts swinging in there anytime now. No, yes, no, yes, yes, no. Hello? Alright, the bear is in. The bear is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming in for taking me down to 18. Coming in for the 2 damage. And he has no turn to play, which is weird. That would tell me he doesn't have a Lord of the Unreal, if not for the fact that he was thinking about it for so long. About whether or not he should play something, so that's kind of weird there. And now he drops a 3rd land, and out comes the Lord of the Unreal this turn. So one thing you can think is, well, he had Lord of the Unreal last turn, but he wanted to have an unsummon open. But that's strange, because I don't have any spot removal, and I'm nowhere near being able to actually cast mass removal. So why would he wait there? On the other hand, why would he pause if he didn't already have the Lord of the Unreal in hand? So, I don't know, I'm confused by that. I'm guessing he just didn't realize that there's no spot removal, or he wanted to be extra super safe that his Lord of the Unreal would survive. Something like that. Because the whole waiting, thinking about something there, the turn 2 and then not dropping something, was a little odd to me. But either way, he's up to 4 mana now, as am I. He obviously started the game. Or did I? I think I started the game, because I didn't get a land. Well, I did get to play an extra land off of Explore, whether I drew it or not. So yeah, he started the game then. Alright. We're clear of that confusion there. He got to play first in this one. And I'm guessing I'm gonna block here, because I may as well block while I still can. He may unsummon my last blocker if I wait too long with blocking, so it seems good to just block it when I can. But as you can see, that 1 land I got the first turn is the only land I've drawn so far. I started this off with 4 lands, drawn 1, and aside from that, only high cost stuff. So that is a little unfortunate here. I'm really hoping to get a land next turn, because I'm at 13 life. He's got 10 power and toughness on the board there, and that's not looking too good for me. And there's the OP. I don't know why people like to call their decks OP when they're the ones who are playing them. I have no idea. It's just weird to me that you're like it's like bragging, basically. I don't know. Seems weird to me to go, oh yeah, my deck is so OP, la 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 la. Anyways, there's another Lord of the Unreal. That's a lot of Unreal Lordage. So he's got 12 power on the board right now. I would hope he swings with all of them. But he does not. And that means that he really thought about this. That means he knows the only out I have, since he has the counterspell, the only out I have is if I have 2 Tangles. And he doesn't bring the 2/2, because if I have 2 Tangles, then at least that doesn't get tapped for 2 turns. That's a really smart play. He really thought about that for a long time. That was kind of just a genius play, basically. Not swinging in with the Lord of the Unreal there. That was the reason he did it, at least. I still don't draw a land here. Obviously, just getting a elf that gets me a land. I'll still survive a turn, but it's getting... Whoa, what happened there? That didn't happen while I was playing, so... That's a recording flaw, I'm guessing. Huh, weird. This is the first time I'm looking back at the footage. Weird recording flaw there. Kind of strange. But, you didn't get to see what I picked. Well, I picked the elf there, that's now on the board. Anyway, so I get to live at least another turn here. And hope to draw a land then. And the longer this takes to get my land, the more chance of him drawing counterspells. So this is definitely not a situation I like to be in. And this is a very strange move. He unsummons my dude, telling me... Oh wait, Well, it makes sense if he has... I mean, there's no point in unsummoning my dude, because it was gonna die anyway. Unless he wants me to think he doesn't have a counterspell ready, but he has Force of Will. That would make sense. And he does have the Force of Will here, I remember that much, so... Do I really put him on making these genius plays, or is this just coincidence here? It's hard to tell. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that was indeed the play there. So that was not a mistake with the unsummon then, if you wanted me to think he didn't have a counterspell. On the other hand, there's not that much point in it, I guess. Because the only way I'm getting out of it is playing a big spell anyway, so... But maybe, because I use both my Tangles, so I don't have Tangle anymore, so yeah, the only thing is dropping like a Black Worm, or a big removal spell, or the Avenger of Zendikar, so I had to do that anyways. So it's not like I played differently because he made that play, but... anyways, that's game number 2, goes to him, so it's actually... he tied up the score, we're now 1 win versus 1 win for me. For him. 1 win for me, 1 win for him. Yeah. And we're going into game number 3 here, where I have a Green Sun Zenith, some land, a Tangle, and a Mass Removal. Which is obviously a hand I need to keep. But again, a little heavy on the lands and a little light on the ramp. Eye of Ugin certainly helps, because it allows me to play my Mass Removal a turn earlier. Which he may not be expecting, so he may not have a counterspell ready that turn. So I haven't been uploading videos for a while. Yeah, and even before that I was already being a bit slow with all the videos. The reason is I have a lot of brothers and I have a sister, and sometimes they just swing by at the wrong times when I would like to record instead of having to entertain visitors. And I have to say, I have been a little lazy on it, and just procrastinating on the recording side. And then when someone swings by at the wrong time, when I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna record, then that takes another day away from me being able to record. And then if the same happens the next day, which happens a lot to me, really, then I don't get to record that day either. So. Don't worry, because I'm not quitting YouTube or anything. I definitely still have plans for this channel, still want to record videos and and all that, but it just hasn't really, I haven't really had the chance for it much lately. So that is all. But anyways, he drops a 3/4 flyer there, bringing on the aggression here. He didn't have a turn 2 play, so that's at least fortunate for me. It gives me a little more time. And I drew my ramp spell here. I'm guessing I'm just dropping the forest, because I'd rather keep the Eye of Ugin back as a surprise, where he won't expect me to suddenly play mass removal. I was even thinking about not ramping for secondary, because if you don't because now he knows that if I just drop land, then I can play mass removal. Whereas if I didn't ramp, then he wouldn't expect like the Eye of Ugin mass removal thing. But keeping back on ramping just to hope to trick the opponent like that, which is not a surefire thing at all, seems a little bad to me. So either way, in comes the bear and the flying dude. I don't know what they're called. Those weird 3/4 flyers that he has. In comes one of those. For some reason keeping back the bear, I guess because of Tangle possibility. And I would guess this is the turn that I try to All's Dust, or no? I take a turn for this. Well, I guess it's to try and bait out the counterspell on the Tangle. If he has like Force of Will, and otherwise he still has a few cards in hand, and I don't. Yeah, that's the reasoning. I don't really have a bomb in hand. I have the Green Sun Zenith, but that's one thing just. And I don't, like, I stop his aggression, but I don't really have anything to play after that, if that's all I do. So I kind of want him to play some more dudes on the board before I wipe it. But that is a little bit of a risky play against, well, a little bit. That's a pretty risky play against Mind Maze. So we're going to have to see how that ends up for me. There's the Tangle. He doesn't have Lethal yet, because he only brings in 7 plus 5 is 12. So I'm guessing I was kind of hoping for him to counterspell the Tangle there, which doesn't happen. And he passes the turn here. Now I have to assume this is when I mass removal, because if I give him another turn, which I can of course, because this guy still stay tapped, but if I give him another turn, then that allows him to draw the counterspell if he doesn't already have it. I can play the Deer and then drop Eye of Ugin and then mass removal. Okay, instead I'm getting a 7-drop. I don't know what I'm doing here. What is going on? Okay. Getting that guy, okay. What the heck is going on? I'm guessing... I just want him to play out his hand here. I think this is a mistake. I should have just played the mass removal as soon as possible. And not given him a chance to draw the counterspell. I guess, just nervousness got to me or something. But this is, just watching this back, this is clearly a mistake on my part. Just play the mass removal as soon as you can. Because you don't know if you get the chance to later. So, well, I did gain the 7 life off the worm. I'm gonna draw a card off of it if I mass removal it. So there's that. But, yeah. Again, if he now just has a counterspell, then I'm just basically screwed. So, seems like bad plays to me. I guess I wanted him to counterspell the worm. Yeah, I was just baiting the counterspell. I'm assuming. Which, if you can do that, without risking anything, then it's great. But in this case, it was a big risk, because if he just doesn't counterspell the Tangle, doesn't counterspell the worm, then, in trouble. And he does pause here, so I guess that means he has a counterspell. And we shall never know if he had it before, if he has it here. We shall never know if he had it earlier, but... there's the All's Dust coming in, and... Counterspell, obviously. So there it is. Yeah, this just seems like bad play to me. I played the Alles Dust before, obviously. I mean, not obviously, but by the way, so what I wanted to say, I played the mass removal before attacking because, yeah, I can get 7 damage in if my mass removal works, but if it doesn't and he counterspells it, then I can at least still block with the Placeworm and survive that way. I'm willing to not deal him 7 damage, just to ensure that I have a blocker in case my mass removal doesn't work. Just wanted to see if it worked first. The 7 damage isn't gonna make too much of a difference, because what I just really need is to get something by his counterspell that is gonna survive as well. So, no. Anyways, I think I just played this game, just played it badly. Is what I'm thinking. This is kind of awkward to watch back like this. I didn't remember it being this bad, but those are some misplays, in my opinion. But anyways, I did draw a Placeworm here, which is gonna really help me. Passes because he potentially has an unsummon here. That's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing the unsummon here, so it's good to know. So, if he has like Force of Will, then I'm just screwed anyways. So I have to assume he doesn't. And I'm going up to 14. He has 6, 10, 13 damage on the board. 13 damage right now. So if he just draws one dude, then I'm dead. Because his Krovikan Mist will grow. But if he doesn't, then he's forced to actually stay back instead. And then the game swings into my favor. Unless, of course, he has that unsummon, which we already kind of established that he probably has it. And that means he could just attack anyways. And there's a dude pumping up his Krovikan Mist here. So that means he has lethal. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I played this game badly. That's my conclusion on it. We'll never know if he had the counterspell earlier or not. But waiting to play a spell that you absolutely have to play at some point, to draw out like a counterspell with things that aren't too important to the game that he can just ignore. Yeah, not ideal at all. And unfortunately he has all flyers and stuff I can block, so there's the 14 damage taking me down to 0. And now look at his skin of that portrait he has. That's ooh. that's weird looking. That was he's confused that was enough damage. It's because he probably counted the damage before he dropped his dude. Didn't realize that his Krovikan Mist became bigger from it. But the fact that he did attack even though he didn't think it was enough damage means that he probably did have a counterspell or Galvanize. And I'm guessing it was the counterspell. Because he paused earlier with the 1 mana up when I attacked with the 7/7. So, guessing that means he had a unsummon there, and that's why he attacked, even though he didn't know it was lethal. Because I couldn't bring him lethal anyways. And those are 2 pretty bad opening hands. I mean, Fierce Empath means I do get to tutor something here. And I do have enough land here, which is good. He mulligans down to 6. So that also influenced my choice of keeping this hand. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I do remember looking at him and going, oh, he mulliganed to 6, then should probably take this hand because it's at least a hand that guarantees me being able to play a big threat. And the first 2 games I was stuck on mana, which also probably influenced this choice of keeping his hand. But it's not an amazing hand, for sure, and drawing a land there certainly doesn't help here either. But, I do have 3 lands up to his 1, so that's nice. He didn't have a 1-drop. That's sweet as well for me. Let's see if he has a 2-drop here. Gonna guess that's no. Or is it? Or does he have a 2-drop that he isn't sure if he wants to play it? Which is, again, weird to me because I don't have spot removal in my deck, so it doesn't need to keep like Unsummon open to protect the Lord of the Unreal at this point at all. If he has Lord of the Unreal, he should just play it there. But he does not. Whether he has it or not, we shall never know. Fierce Empath, just thinking about what I'm gonna get, because I was obviously gonna get Avenger of Zendikar, but I drew that card, so what else am I gonna get? I can get a Primeval Titan, which is amazing with the Avenger of Zendikar, but if I am dying at that turn, then I may need the Placaworm, so this is a little awkward because I have to decide this pretty early in the game when he hasn't played anything yet, and I don't know if he's got a very aggressive hand or not. So I decide, I think, to go with the Placaworm here, just to be sure. That does mean that it takes longer for Avenger of Zendikar to win, and there's slightly less big chance of it pushing through enough damage. But Avenger of Zendikar is a very powerful card with or without the Primeval Titan. And I think it can guarantee me the win regardless if it hits the board. So I decide to go with the Placaworm, which I think is the right play, but it's really close. Now that I know he's just divinating turn 3, I would have gone with the Primeval Titan if I had known that. But I didn't know that, so for all I know, he could have gone like 3 2/2 bears or something turn 3. Who knows? Weirdly slow start for him. But this certainly helps. Now I can drop my 6th land this turn. That means I can start with the aggression next turn. And that certainly helps, like I said. So at this point, yeah, I would have been much happier having taken the Primeval Titan. But I couldn't have known that he wouldn't do anything turn 3. Nor that I would draw and explore to get me 1 turn faster to being able to drop the Avenger of Zendikar. You know, and it was a decision that at that point made sense. But either way, there's finally his 1-drop. He's like at 4 lands, and there's a 1-drop finally. So he has a pretty slow hand there. Which of course is good in a way for me, because I don't have to fear dying to an aggressive start. On the other hand, it may be bad for me if he has a lot of counter spells, if he has phantasmal images, stuff like that, that can actually take over the late game for him. Because his late game is definitely not... it's definitely not a case where I can just say, oh, if I get to the late game, I'm gonna win this matchup. That is not the case. Luckily, you know, Avenger of Zendikar does more for me than a copied Avenger of Zendikar would do on his side, because he has less lands, and I, you know, have more lands to draw, more lands to drop, and I have ramp that can make me draw multiple lands a turn. So even if he copies my Avenger of Zendikar, I'm probably still getting more out of mine than he is out of his. And he does indeed copy the Avenger of Zendikar. I didn't remember this part, so it's not like I knew that. And that's why I was talking about it. No, I didn't remember what was going to happen here, but there is a copy of the Avenger of Zendikar there. And indeed, he dropped land first, so that's good for me. That means his guys are 0-1s instead of 1-2s. That's pretty nice for me. And definitely a mistake on his side to drop the land first, but I'm guessing he just went, oh, land first, and didn't think about it, and then was like, oh, I should copy this guy? Which is kind of in my advantage as well, is the fact that I know I'm playing this deck, I know I have Avenger of Zendikar, so I know I have to think about stuff like that. If I should drop land immediately or not. And stuff that you automatically start thinking about when you're playing this deck, because that's how this deck works. He's not in that mind state because he's not playing this deck. There is that. Either way, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in a wild guess that I'm gonna be attacking here. And keeping the Avenger back, I don't know. Because if I attacked with the Avenger as well, then he may want to trade with the Avenger, which wouldn't be too bad for me, because that means my guys stay 1-2s for the rest of the game. His guys stay 0-1s for the rest of the game. I do have a land in hand though, so I know I'm going to be able to pump up my guys next turn as well. Now we have the same number of plant tokens on the board. The other reason to want to trade the Avenger of Zendikar for his Avenger of Zendikar is that I do have the Eldrazi in my deck, which can fetch me back my Avenger of Zendikar, so it dying isn't always a bad thing, but I can't rely on drawing that, of course. Anyways, I guess my decision there was that the Avenger of Zendikar on my side was probably going to do me more good than it's going to do him. And that sort of does make sense, so. I still have that Placaworm, and that coming in along with the plant tokens certainly helps. And the fact that I have land as well certainly helps as well. And now I have 9 lands, and I have Placaworm and a Tangle, which you can both play. So, sweet draws on my side here. Getting in. Guessing the 1-1 stays back, because it just can't really do much, and he's not at a low enough life total yet that I want to bring guys that just die in combat like that. Plus, it can be a chump blocker, although I'm at 27 life. Don't really see a need for chump blocking yet, but. So there's the 5/5 block and plant token. And other than that, he has to do a lot of chump blocking, so that's his only block. And an unsummon, yeah, okay. Makes sense, because otherwise he'd die. Well, if I didn't already draw another Placaworm, I wouldn't have minded that happening at all. Since I did draw another Placaworm. Now I can't play both the Placaworms, so. Do gain 7 life again. So that's neat, of course. Gives me another chance to gain another 7 life later on in the future, so. It is kind of a desperate play to start unsummoning Placaworms. So there's a Lord of the Unreal. Of course, the only illusion he has is the Avenger of Zendikar there. Which does mean his Avenger of Zendikar is now a 6/6, where the mine is still a 5/5, so he can actually block and kill mine. And his plant tokens are at even size with mine right now, so I do need a land. If he brings a bunch of dudes here, which I'm guessing he's not going to do because I'm nowhere near dying, then I can Tangle. Which would be amazing for me, but since I'm nowhere near dying, that's not what's going to happen here. And if I was near dying, I would fear the counterspell, so. There is that, of course. So I'm hoping to just draw a land here, make my plant tokens bigger than his again. But he passes the turn. Well, I did draw an Avenger of Kozilek here. Again, Avenger of Kozilek, if he counterspells it, I get to use its ability. So, I'm bringing the Avenger because I want him to block it. I want him to kill my Avenger so that I can get more plant tokens. But he already GG's, which is weird because he actually has a pretty good board position in this case. So I don't know why he would GG here. Why he would just give up here. I guess he just assumes I have land or something. I don't know. Either way, even if he just realized right after that, oh, I can survive here and blah blah blah. If someone GG's, in my mind, that's already a win because, especially in a tournament like this, I mean, that's kind of the equivalent to, in real Magic, just scooping and saying, okay, good game, you win. It would be kind of lame for him to then try and win anyways after already saying GG. So he does actually take the damage and roll with that, but weird GG to me. Either way, that means it's 2-2. That means we're in the 5th game, which is weird to me. Did not expect to actually make it to the 5th game with this matchup. And I could have actually maybe already have won this if I didn't play so weirdly in the 3rd game, I think. Where I just tried to bait out his counterspell before playing my my mass removal. Still don't understand what I was thinking there, honestly. I think he did pause earlier, which made me pretty much certain that he had the counterspell. But even then, it's kind of weird to play that way. It's kind of a defeatist attitude to make plays like that, is what I'm trying to say. I'm guessing I'm playing a Gladeheart here, because I'm not near the 6 mana yet, so... Yep, there's a Gladeheart, indeed, gaining some life here. And there's the Illusionary Servant. And the thing is, if I did play the mass removal earlier, then he would have been forced to counterspell that, and then I could tangle him later on. So yeah, whatever. It's how it worked. It's how it went. Certainly don't think I played too well on that game. Either way, I don't have a bomb in my hand just yet. But I do have the life gain, I do have the ramp here. And I drew the Eye of Ugin to fetch me up a big dude, but I'm guessing I'm not gonna have time for that. And I drew the Fierce Empath here, so now I have to decide between just playing the Farhaven Elf and the Fierce Empath. Playing the Fierce Empath means I drop a land and I have 5. If I get a 6-drop, I know I can then just play the 6-drop if I draw a land, which is a higher chance of drawing the 6-drop and going with the ramping. But I think the bomb I should get here is Avenger of Zendikar. Yeah, that's what I get. It's just the best bomb in the deck, so that's what I should get. And there's another land down, another 2 life gain for me. But I am taking 5 a turn here. So the board state is certainly in his advantage. He did have a kind of slow start, which does help. Oh, it's getting pretty warm in my room. I have closed the windows so we don't get any noise from outside. But there's a phantom, whatever it is, that the dude that I can't block. So that puts me on a definite clock, I suppose. And that means it's a good move to get the Avenger of Zendikar in. And yeah, thinking between dropping the Grazing Gladeheart and the Farhaven Elf, I think it's definitely the right call to play the Farhaven Elf here. Because then next turn, I just need land and I can drop my Avenger. There's some point in actually keeping back the Eye of Ugin, because if I do draw the land next turn, drop the Avenger, then I can drop Eye of Ugin to get my tokens, whereas the Eye of Ugin itself doesn't actually help me cast my Avenger, so... Yeah, maybe he should have kept back the Eye of Ugin there. It also doesn't tell him that I have Eye of Ugin, so there's something to be said about that as well. That's all hindsight though. I did drop the Eye of Ugin here. The heat in my room is actually making it difficult for me to stay to stay energetic about my commentary. That's my excuse. Anyways, let's bring the damage here, bring the hurt, and drop my Avenger. That's what I'm guessing I'm doing. And since he had a slow start, what I was thinking here is he has a bunch of Phantasmal images. And he's gonna copy my Avenger here. I am kind of surprised he didn't counterspell though. Because I was thinking either a bunch of counterspells or a bunch of phantasmal images. But yeah, there's the phantasmal image number 1, copying my Avenger of Zendikar. And out comes phantasmal image number 2, copying my Avenger of Zendikar. But this is kind of how I planned it, because that means that... And there's a land. That means that I get to mass board wipe away his phantasmal images. So this is kind of what I was expecting him to do. And these guys are 2-frees, because... Why are the 2-frees immediately? Why aren't they 1-2s? You can't drop like 2 land in a row. What? I'm confused. Why are they 2-frees immediately? I'm gonna have to watch it. I don't understand. Yeah, I just can't make sense of that. They're not boosted by anything, so what? I'm confused, but either way, this is kind of how I planned it, and to then just alles dust this away, so I get rid of his phantasmal images. But unfortunately, he has Force of Will. That's the second Force of Will so far, by the way. Saving him. Which is annoying, because if you... I mean, if you look at what's been going on so far, I haven't drawn a single summoning trap, which is really the card I want in this matchup. Haven't drawn any of them. Didn't have a land to drop here to make my plant tokens bigger, so his plant tokens are just gonna grow and grow. And I'm really far behind. And he gets 2 +1/+1 counters per land he drops. There's another phantasmal image, getting another Avenger of Zendikar here. I'm really a little bit sad. Oh yeah, that's why they were 2-frees. Of course, because it triggers twice from each of the Avengers. Yes. I don't know why I was so confused about this just now. I wasn't confused about it in the matchup. Must be the heat. But anyways, yeah, it's really unfortunate that it didn't draw a single summoning trap so far, because he drew the one-off in his deck. That's basically the best card. Twice. Force of Will. And I didn't draw any of what I have 2-offs in the deck that I really needed for the matchup. So yeah. Alles dust. Number 2 is on top of my library. I can feel it. That's what I'm saying there. Because that's basically what I need. Is another Alles dust. That's all the blocks I can make here. Chumping. And let's see if I draw that Alles dust. Hovering my mouse cursor over the top card in my library here. Making it exciting, but it's not an Alles dust, unfortunately. So I do have another turn to survive, I think. I don't know. I do have a lot of blockers here. But he has a lot of attackers. And I can't exactly read what the numbers on those cards say and how many plant tokens he has there. So, kind of hard to say. That's also annoying a bit about Duels, is that there's a timer on these things. And the board state can get a little cluttered. He's already GG'ing. I mean, for all he knows, I could have drawn. I could have like 2 tangles in my hand. Although there would be no point in waiting to play those. And there would have been no point in blocking with the Avenger earlier if I had tangles. So. Anyways, blocking. Blocking one there. And now, see what happened there? The card went into the rest of the spell. And I was like, I know there's one more, but where is it? And I'm looking for it here. I just can't see it. That's that little arrow. That's the one I think it is, but I just couldn't see where the card was. I couldn't click it or anything, and I could have actually blocked enough there to survive, but I couldn't see the card, which is annoying. Board state was just too cluttered to be able to see it. And I mean, I could have drawn that mass removal there if I could see the card I was blocking. It's just super annoying. Super annoying. And that Force of Will was super annoying as well. But either way, that means that he actually moves on because he wins 3-2. And I can't say I'm really surprised about the outcome, but I can't say I'm too annoyed about it either because I actually won 2 games against his deck. I actually took it to 2-2, and the last game was very close. So if it wasn't for that annoying Force of Will saving him twice, I could have won this. So there is that. I think I did a good job here. I made a pretty silly mistake, not just wiping the board earlier in game 3, which I don't understand what was going on there with my reasoning. What I think happened again is that he paused the game earlier, and I was pretty sure he had a counterspell, and I was just trying to bait it out, but even that's just not a good excuse anyway. It's unfortunate, but I can't say I'm surprised about losing against Mind Maze with this deck, because it's just an extremely tough matchup. And I'm actually a little proud of myself for taking it to 5 games. Hope you guys enjoyed this tournament. Unfortunately, I had a terrible matchup in round 2 and didn't manage to get very far because of that. And I think this deck just can beat any matchup except for Mind Maze. So any other matchup would have been fine for me. Evanston's Glory is a tough matchup, but I know I can win that. Unfortunate happenings there. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed the tournament there. And go watch the rest of the tournament coverage. Dice Show and Wingspan are still in the tournament, so go watch their channels if you want to see more of the tournament as it unfolds. My name is Nemo. My name will still be Nemo next time. See you later.